Just make sure everything's working. That's good. Sting.
I think I'm working.
I think Sting's working. Okay. All right. Hi, as Coach on 107.1 The Peak here with Jimmy Fink and a very special guest. You know him as Sting.
How do you do?
Thanks for having us, Sting.
Pleasure.
So you're on tour, big show, hopefully tomorrow night.
Depending on the weather, the weather gods. It looks like 18 inches of snow, according to...
That's what it looks like, but hopefully you'll get to play at Hammerstein tomorrow. Okay. So you're out promoting the new album, 57th and 9th.
I am.
Which we love, we've been playing, and everybody loves it. So what is the process for making the album? Do you go into the studio with kind of an idea, or do you just go in there and start jamming and see what comes out?
You know, normally I'm very well prepared, maybe even over prepared. I know what the songs I've written. I know how I want them to sound. This time I began the session with a confession to my colleagues. I said, guys, I haven't a clue what we're going to do. Not one iota of an idea. And what's more, I want to do it, whatever it is, within 3 months.
I see. So you kind of had like a time limit.
In a 3-month span.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And normally it's open-ended. It's finished when it's finished, right, or when the muse strikes or whatever. But that gave it a sense of urgency, albeit, not authentic, but it was real that I wanted to finish it. Mm-hmm. And so we jammed for a while, and slowly musical ideas percolated between us. And then I would structure them into at least the shape of a song. And once I'd achieved that, I would take it home and listen to the music and ask it to tell me a story. I think if you've structured music correctly, it already has a narrative, an abstract narrative, and it's my job to turn that into a story, a character. It's already got a mood. So music can do that. Music can tell you stories, and so that my job is to translate that.
Wow. So you're almost like a translator then.
I think so. Yeah.
That's an interesting way to put it. So the day-to-day process, the studio not too far from here, right? You would just kind of walk on over, grab yourself some breakfast, and...
The studio was 10 blocks away, and I had the great privilege of being able to walk to work. A lot of people don't have that anymore.
Right.
It was a time to think, to take stock of my work, my life here in the city, just about everything I would think of as I was walking. I'd get ideas for things that I wanted to achieve in the studio. And every day I'd stop at the lights at 57th and 9th on the way, and because it's a busy road, as you know,
yeah.
So you have to be careful. So that was just a time to meditate for a minute.
Did you think about stopping into the Morning Star Deli?
I've been in the Morning Star Deli a few times, yeah.
A few times, right?
That's the first thing I did when I saw 57th and 9th. I Googled the corner and looked around, and I've been to the Morning Star too. My family used to be in the bread business, and I actually delivered bread to the Morning Star.
Right. Well, it's a Greek family who own it,
yeah.
And I've got to know them now because we went there. They were rather pleased about their feature on the
I was going
album.
to say, was it something like after a while people started to figure out, like, gee, Sting kind of comes around here this time of the day every day, and then did you get people kind of camping out there? Or?
No, not really. No, I mean I'm pretty nondescript walking around the city.
Right.
People kind of ignore me.
New York is kind of good like that. I feel like
it's good because they see celebrities all the time and they're not fazed by it. So just hey Sting, I like your music, or you suck, or whatever. It's a real exchange, and there's no entourage around me. There's no, I'm just a guy walking with a guitar on the street, and there's plenty of us.
Right. I feel like New York is very unique in that New Yorkers don't really care about anything.
No, they don't.
Like if it's somebody crazy on the subway or if Sting walks by, it's always kind of the same reaction.
No,
hey,
I love, New Yorkers have a self-esteem about them, which allows them to do that. Just because, just by dint of being a New Yorker, you have this esteem, which I like.
That's great. So you're fresh off performance at the Oscars. How is that, how's performing at the Oscars? It's clearly a different vibe in the room, right? Everyone seems to be at least acting prim and proper, even though afterwards we know they kind of go out and party.
Yeah.
So what's it like performing at the Oscars?
Well, I've done it 4 times now. I've been nominated 4 times in that category. This is very special because I was singing a song that it means a lot to me about Jim Foley, who was a a photojournalist, American photojournalist who was murdered by ISIS
Right.
in 2014. A very serious subject.
Very serious, yeah.
So there was none of the razzmatazz of the other nominees. It was just me and a guitar and a very stark light and a picture of him behind me.
You didn't know him, did you?
I didn't know him, but I got to know him through the documentary and through meeting his family and meeting his fellow captors and his friends. And I feel as if I know him. I certainly respect him. And at this time, you know, when the news media is under such attack, when the truth itself is under attack, Jim Foley is a wonderful avatar for true American heroism. Mm-hmm. This guy and others like him put his life on the line to tell the truth, to speak the truth. And that should be, you know, honored. It should be respected by everyone. And we should be grateful.
But when Coach is talking about singing at the Oscars, I know Tom Petty has that song, A Face in the Crowd, where you look out and you see, you know, your fans out there. But when you look at the Academy Awards, you know, you're seeing George Clooney or whatever.
Yeah, but they're all my fans anyway, so why would I worry?
Over the years, you've gotten many awards and things. Does any of that mean anything to you at this point? Or do you just kind of like, do you store them like in a closet somewhere?
Hey,
like,
it's nice to be invited to the party, come on.
That's true.
You know, it's always a pleasure to do that. And I like to sing. I sing for my supper, that's what I do.
Yeah. The first time I was, in the early 80s, I worked for a radio station here in New York and also for Rolling Stone magazine. They told me I was going to interview the Police, and they sent me Stuart and Andy, and I didn't get to see you then. So
Well,
I was thinking, what's the deal?
Then you would have got an earful then.
But here at this place, which used to be, you know,
the Mayflower.
I've interviewed a bunch of people here, including Todd Rundgren, who never got off the bed during the interview. He lied on the bed and smoked a cigar. And I think David Bowie I did here also, and it's a historic building.
Yeah, it is. I think it still has the spirit of the place, actually.
I sense some sort of the spirit here. I do. It's kind of.
Definitely.
It's kind of.
They
fun
say
to
it was
walk around
haunted.
the
But it's a
hallways.
little staid, you know. It's not.
No, it's not
rock and roll.
No, we're very establishment now.
So back to the awards and stuff. Is there one award that stands out? I know you had Kennedy Center honors, and the Queen has given you things.
Yeah.
And is there like a ceremony in front of the Queen? Do you have to kneel down and things like that?
Yes.
Is there like protocol?
Well, you're there with members of the community, with research scientists, with people who run post offices in islands of Scotland,
Right.
with normal working people, and you're being attributed with an accolade just for doing a job.
Right.
So I would never think of turning it down, but it is a ceremony, and you line up, and then the Queen pins this thing on you, and she asks you a question.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she just tries to be like personable.
Yeah, she said, "Are you still in the music business?"
Did she really?
I said, "Barely, ma'am." And then she said, "And the rainforest?" I said, "Burning, ma'am." And then she pinned me with the thing, and that was off.
All right, so you were pinned by the Queen.
But will you be? You're not a sir. You're not Sir Sting yet.
I'm
right?
a commander of the British Empire, which is the same rank as James Bond. So it's okay.
Well,
that's pretty
that's
good.
pretty cool.
It's good company.
Because I always hear people being knighted. I'm like, well, if there's a battle, like Paul McCartney, Elton John, all these people are going to be on the front line.
I'm not quite old enough to do that.
You're going to be on the second line because you're just a commander.
Yeah, that's good. I feel like I'd rather be there.
I'll command from a nearby hill.
So, do you still play on like an off day? Say like today, you're not. I'm sure you're doing something, but you're not performing. Do you still like practice your bass, or just kind of?
Well,
do you ever just kind of sit around with your bass and just drum a
Not
little
an
bit?
hour ago, I was singing songs for my granddaughter upstairs.
That counts. That's
I was
practice.
singing Bare Necessities from the Jungle Book.